Hi everyone, we're Team Travlr. We are so excited to share with you guys today our project. We've put a lot of really hard work into it over the past year, so really excited to come to today and share with you all and get to see everyone else's projects as well. Let's dive in. So to kick it off, my name is Sydney. I worked as the content and brand strategist. I helped develop who Travlr is. I worked on the style guides and did a lot of the branding and marketing elements of Travlr.
And I am Madison. I did a lot of the development, so all of the UX development, the functionality, kind of the heavy hidden loading that happens in creating an app that makes it all really fun. So I guess just to give you guys like an overview of Travlr and who we are and what we've done, Travlr is all about the intersection of social media sharing and traditional travel websites. So the goal of Travlr is to create a space for users to share and discover unique travel recommendations. Travlr actually accomplishes this through two complementary tools, a fully functioning iOS and Android app, as well as a behind-the-scenes database that uses a structure to organize user submissions and accounts.
So let's start by addressing the problem. When looking at the current market of travel apps and websites, most of them adopt a more the merrier approach when it comes to presenting information, with sponsored content, advertisements, irrelevant suggestions, and oftentimes poor UX design. Then we have apps like Wanderlog here, where while really easy to navigate, the general content poses kind of irrelevant to the user. Additionally, it's mostly designed for users to plan trips, not as much for just free browsing and inspiration. So when you come and you join Wanderlog and you create an account, it's very much so like an itinerary, so it's not really good for scrolling as you would on Instagram. Then we have companies like TripAdvisor. These are large conglomerates trying to foster to every possible need that a user might have. Oftentimes, this leaves users feeling frustrated or a little bit overwhelmed with information. They include hotel booking info, flight info, oftentimes irrelevant to users who might just be in a new town for a night trying to look for a good place to grab a drink with their friends. Traveling should be fun and exciting, but oftentimes the stress of planning a trip deters travelers from actually booking that next flight. That's why we have a solution to offer. We have Travlr. Travlr provides a new and innovative way to travel by combining traditional word-of-mouth recommendations with today's dominant world of social media sharing. Inspired by a desire to simplify traveling, we created Travlr to combine the best aspects of travel websites, such as custom recommendations, user feedback, and location images, with the best parts of social media sharing, which like image posting and explore features. The result is a digestible, streamlined way of sharing and exploring travel recommendations. Additionally, with Travlr, we really wanted to develop a content-oriented social media platform, more similar to the likes of Pinterest, where users can spend time on it without having to already have a trip planned. So kind of feeds and inspiration. And this was in light of the recent pandemic in the past year. According to Expedia, they released their looking forward to 2021 travel predictions, and we felt that this quote was worth noting. I'll go ahead and read it for you guys. What we learned by looking at travelers' behaviors in a year as unusual as 2020 is that travel will always be an integral part of our lives. Travelers responded to the uncertainty and restrictions by finding ways to safely explore closer to home, and the result is a bigger emphasis on flexibility and a list of trending destinations that are inspiring and attainable for the year ahead. So this was one of the things that we used to inform a lot of our design decisions with Travlr, of making it a place where you can actively consume travel content without actually having to have a trip planned. So this leads us to our target market. So when starting with our target market, we started with Margaret. So this is Margaret. She is about 22 years old. She's a student and she's a travel enthusiast. She's tech savvy. She loves her Instagram and she really cares about the aesthetic of an app. We started here with our initial idea for Travlr. But then we kind of wanted to expand beyond this initial user. So we added Hannah. This was from a conversation Madison and I had where we realized we were missing an entire part of the market, these legacy travelers. Think your friend's grandparents who go on cruises every year, or that's sort of the older demographic who are using these legacy travel sites such as Travelocity, Expedia, and TripAdvisor. And so from this, we really wanted to make sure that Travlr was, number one, accessible for them, number two, not overwhelming, and number three, really easy to navigate, even if they weren't that familiar with social media.
So whenever we look at the entire timeline of Travlr, our ideas, what it's become, there was a lot of changes. And most of this came because of user testing. You know, we had all of these ideas and it was I'm sure as many people could agree, it's very hard to take your idea and make it into something cool. And, we had this product, but we knew it wasn't the best. So user testing really helped us to shape our product into what we really wanted it to become, because Travlr is an app for users. Without your users, there's nothing really we can do. So we kind of needed that extra user feedback. So, all of our feedback, it came in way more than we thought it would. As you can see, there was a lot of different stuff, and this is only a handful of them. We actually had amazing testing participants, some of which whom were in the tech industry. So they really provided some incredibly great feedback as to how to refine, to fix, and to make our app better. So we really heavily relied on this to change it from what we originally had the idea of Travlr into what it now is. So as you can see, the left is where we started with our beta, and the right is where we are now. It's completely different, and we are so incredibly happy with it, and it's because of our user testing. A lot of the feedback that we got had to do not only with the functionality of the app, but just the overall design. I mean, we got feedback from people that the spacing was too much, that the posting was a little too chaotic, and we took all of this and we really made the changes. One of our most unexpected, highest priority changes that we made involved posting. We kind of saw posting as this idea of just an added feature that didn't require that much, but a lot of our users commented, and one user in particular commented about the fact that whenever they posted, they expected it to populate back on the homepage. While this wasn't something that we necessarily thought was needed, we realized that there was no real way for users to get that gratification of their post being out there. So this was something that we really wanted to restructure, that way that you can get that gratification and that joy from posting your travel content and seeing it actually live on the app. So now that we've talked about our user testing, we're going to dive a bit into, the app's current functionality. All right, so let's take a look at what the users will actually see whenever they launch Travlr. So once you log in, you're sort of prompted with this home screen that we're seeing right now. You scroll through, you get the idea that you would expect of just this generalized posted content. But whenever you head to the Explore page, you've got this grid screen where you can actually click on the images and sort of see, what exactly you're looking at. It'll give you the location, the caption. Of course, you can see the picture. And then it's refined into these categories where you can actually click on and kind of refine your search. You can even search on these categories and get an idea of restaurants, and let's just say New York City. Or in this case, we're just generalized searching Colorado, because let's just say you're planning a trip to Colorado. That way you can sort of get this idea of not only getting content, but sort of refining it to however you need. That's really what Travlr is. But at the end of the day, posting is a huge idea. I mean, not only are you digesting content, but you really want to get your content out there, not only for you, but for other users. So in this case, the posting is super easy. It's streamlined. You just photo, category, caption, and you can see it populate right back on the homepage, as well as your profile page. And so it's sort of just this super simple way to kind of post and digest content throughout the app and kind of get whatever you need from it. I mean, if you're just looking for restaurants, if you're looking for hikes, I mean, this isn't just a one size fits all. It really just is whatever you make it. And I think that's the beauty of Travlr, is whatever you want from Travlr, Travlr gives to you. Okay, so at this point, you're like, okay, cool, that's Travlr, got it. But how does it work? Let's dive into that. So getting started, we built this HTML CSS framework because in the beginning we thought, okay, cool, let's make this an app store. Let's do Apple, let's do Swift code. And that was cool, but we realized that we were really cutting off half of our participants. I mean, we know that there's a divide between Apple and Android users, and whatever side you land on, that's totally fine. That's your own business. But we really wanted it to kind of be this easy way for users to not have to choose. So HTML and CSS was our easiest way to say, we're doing both. So in order to tie it all together in this sort of backend database, we used MySQLi on our server. That way that we could store our user data, but of course it's password encrypted, that way that no hackers can get in and steal your password, but also so that we can store the user submissions. That way that it's constantly uploading and the data is always in there no matter where you post it. And to tie it all together in a really pretty bow, we implemented it onto the HTML platform using PHP and Ajax. This just sort of allowed us to call on our MySQL iData and push it onto that HTML platform so that users can see it and constantly have the up-to-date information that they're looking for. So this encompasses everything from the automatically updating homepage, explore page. Every time you search, everything is really tying in together into this beautiful little gift basket that we call Travlr. So let's take a look at our moving forward idea. So of course, diving into a social media platform isn't easy from a tech perspective. I mean, our idea of social media in and of itself is so far advanced. We understand that what Travlr is today isn't the best that it can be, but we have this idea and we truly do think that it can become something one day. So this isn't the end of Travlr, it is the beginning, and we fully understand that, and we are incredibly excited to even be able to launch this into the real world. But we also know that it's going to grow over the years, and the data is going to grow, the user submissions are going to grow, the amount of users are going to grow, along with the actual technology. I mean, this is going to be something that, of course, my knowledge isn't the greatest. I'm not the best coder out in the world, but over time, we can edit this, we can turn it into something really cool. And I think that's super special that this isn't the end of Travlr, it's only the beginning.
100%. And just a second, Madison, we have really high hopes for Travlr moving forward. As other social media sites continue to wear thin on their shelf life, we know that there's going to need to be something new. And we're hoping that this can cater specifically to the travel community. It can be a place of inspiration. It can be a place of sharing recommendations to really convey that the same energy of like word of mouth recommendations you get from someone you love who visited a really cool town. That's what we're hoping to convey with Travlr in a really grassroots, simple way, person to person, not a big conglomerate, but really like talking to a friend who just visited a new city. So that's our goal with it and what we're trying to emulate. And I really think as we move forward that that will continue to happen. And I think we've done a really great job of carrying that energy to the app that we've gotten to present to you all today.
All right, so enough talking from us. Let's just dive right in.
So as our presentation comes to a close, we want to leave some advice for our next cohort. Over the past year, this app has really grown a lot and it's taught us many, many things, but there are two key lessons that I want to share with everyone watching. Number one, the power of being flexible. As you've seen, Travlr has grown so much, and a lot of that came from us having to swallow our pride about a really cool idea we thought we had that just wasn't actually as functional as it could have been. So it really comes from listening to your users and catering to your users' needs first. Secondly, another key lesson I've learned is how important frequent communication is with your teammates. I'm lucky enough to call Madison a friend as well as a teammate, but we are very, very good about communicating with each other. We trust each other. We trust each other's skills, and that has made all the difference with this project. So that's a big piece of advice moving forward, is make sure you establish that relationship early on and really invest in it as you move forward.
And my advice to the next cohort is to understand and listen to your dreams. I talk a lot about Travlr as my dream, just because from a coding perspective, it kind of is a dream. I mean, it is very cool for me as a professional front-end developer to be able to say, I made this thing and it really works. But I think it's very important to understand the complications of your dream and to plan accordingly. A lot of the issues that we ran into was because our ideas were way bigger than what we could do at the time. A lot of it turned into long nights, long hours of time crunching, researching, YouTube watching, everything to figure out how you can do it. And while that's fine, I think the most important advice I can give you is to understand your dreams and to plan accordingly. Because at the end of the day, just because of a timeline, that shouldn't deter you from going after your dreams. The key thing is to trust yourself and to know yourself and to really go after it. So, as our presentation comes to a close, we're open to any sort of questions you might have about our process, how far we've come, functionality, really anything. Feel free to hit it our way. But as we close, we just want to thank you guys for your time and for listening to us and our dream of Travlr. Thanks.
Thanks.